Hello, welcome to Joseph Clark Official. Let's get into this video. So, the Lord was reminding me of Joseph's story in Genesis 40 to 50 or 51. And if you followed any of the Bible, Old Testament, there's a lot of stories like Adam and Eve and Abraham and Cain and Abel and Joseph and Jacob and Isaac. All those are found in Genesis 1 to 50. And in particular, I wanted to talk about in this video, besides mentioning that levels, and I'm not talking about some corrupt cult where you just go higher and higher in the cult and then you get more and more deceived, like the Jehovah's Witness, Mormons, or Catholic. I'm talking about levels of God, like the real levels of God, and I'm going to share a scripture with you real quick. It's Psalm 105:15. It says, saying, touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm. So, this is where people went wrong in my life. They tried to control the narrative. They tried to dictate me as crazy and diagnose me as crazy just for having a dream of writing thousands of works, just for... I was at 16 to 18, I was fine on or off meds at one point, but they forced me to take them because they're corrupt and they're wicked. All psychiatrists are wicked, in my opinion. And the reason why is they're a godless society. Anytime you exclude God out of either science, which many of the greatest scientists still believed in God and Jesus, or psychiatry, or authority, or government, or anything else, you go the long laundry list down. Anytime you exclude God and Jesus, you're doing a great disservice to the kingdom of heaven. And let's talk about levels real quick. So I'm on a different level. I once said that in a previous video down here. And the reason I'm on a different level is because I put in the work from 12 to 16 up until 31 years old. I never gave up on writing music. At 2020, during COVID, I was writing a Passion of Luke during Passion of Luke in the Piano Concerto number 4. I was doing a lot of great things. And, I see women today who, they don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what their calling is. They don't know what their God-given gifts are and how to apply it to these two. And they don't know how to leave behind a legacy. Well, that's what I'm going to teach you right now. To leave behind a legacy, you have to be one of the top 1 to 5 greatest in your league. And I'm going to pull a Naruto reference real quick. I watched Naruto as a kid. Rock Lee had no ninjutsu, had no genjutsu. He only had taijutsu, so he was disabled in these two. But then he became so good at this one that he became a great ninja. There's something to be said in that. Like Proverbs 16 or 18 says, a talebearer reveals secrets. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that's just a quote from an unknown author or somebody. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And you just gotta think to yourself, Joe, how did you write the 4 harpsichord concerto? Joe, how did you write the Mass number 8 for your ex-girlfriend? Joe, how did you write this stuff? I wrote this stuff because I just worked hard. It's that simple. There's nothing special about my musical ability. In fact, if you look at my real history in piano lessons, I sucked at reading music. It took me 3 piano teachers throughout my life before I could read music accurately. The first piano teacher, I was reading easy stuff, so it didn't matter. The second piano teacher, I couldn't read my own music and I couldn't read what she was teaching me. And the third piano teacher, I could read what they were doing. So I was a slow learner when it came to reading music, but my composition and improvisational abilities were always top tier. And I just gotta say, like, I just gotta say, like, you know, it's sad because, let's take Joseph for a minute to fizzle out this, what I'm trying to say here. So Joseph was betrayed by his brothers. Joseph, was sold as a slave by his brothers. Joseph, was falsely accused of rape by Potiphar's wife. Joseph was put in prison because of that. And later he was able to interpret the butler and the baker's dream. And then after he interpreted that accurately, he said, "Tell the king to get me out of here." But they forgot, the butler forgot, or the baker forgot. And both his dream interpretations came true. For both of them, one died and one was put back in office, is what happened. And then the Pharaoh had a dream, and someone remembered from someone byworded that he could interpret dreams. He interprets Pharaoh's dream, and Pharaoh gives him the glory. So that's where we're at right now in my life. My name is called Joseph too, so I'm kind of like the patron saint. Like Joseph the Patriarch and Joseph the Carpenter are my patron saint, besides St. Augustine, who I chose. But I'm not Catholic, but all I gotta say is, look at all the suffering Joseph went through in Genesis, and then look at all the suffering I went through. It's very similar. But what you don't realize about suffering is God's going to tell you, psychiatrists and doctors and nurses, that the suffering I was going through was refinement. It had nothing to do with my mind being unstable. If my mind is unstable, it's only because people are projecting their words on me, and that's getting into my system. So, all I really got to say now is, we're at the point where we're being glorified now. All the Christians, all the elect, all the ones chosen by God to be a real Christian, go to heaven. We're being exalted now. And since we're being exalted, the evil goats don't like it. And they continue their wickedness and their wicked smiles and everything else. And it's like, it's really sad. It really is. And a lot of people are unlovable. I just mean a lot of people are unlovable because they don't fit the society's norms of who deserves love and who doesn't. But that doesn't matter. Everyone deserves love. Fat, skinny, ill, not ill, disabled, not disabled. Everyone deserves love. And that's how I'll end it, in love.